Hello, Ravens fans, and welcome to another season preview. I'm Aaron Schneider, the Sports Information Director at Anderson University, and joining us for our men's basketball season previews, head coach Carter Collins. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me.
All right. Well, before we get into this year, I do want to rewind to last year a little bit. Obviously, we won the conference tournament last year. Got the program's first ever automatic qualifier into the NCAA tournament. We played Mount Union in the first round of the NCAA tournament, who is ranked number three in the nation at the time, had an outstanding game. Unfortunately, didn't quite pull out the win. Mount Union goes on to be the national runner-up. Actually loses the championship game at the buzzer. So two questions into that. First, what did you learn in just your in just the experience of the NCAA tournament you and the team learned, and then also your takeaway on the Mount Union game itself?
Yeah, that was huge for us to have that opportunity to play that game. We knew going into it that it would be very difficult. Mount Union, like you said, they were ranked third in the country. They were undefeated at home at the time that we had played them. So we knew it was going to be tough to win, and we gave them a really good run at it and just came up a few plays short. But that was huge to be able to take on a team that, as we saw, ended up being one of the very best teams in the country and get a taste of, okay, like this is the next level. This is the highest, level in our Division III world. I think that was a great experience for us, eye-opening, and really kind of catapulted us into the off season and said, okay, if we want to get there, then these are the things that we need to work on. So was really happy that we had the chance to play that game for sure.
Okay, and then going into it, what are your goals and expectations for this year? We were picked to repeat as the HCAC champions. I would imagine repeating conference is one of the goals, and then at the national level, what would you say?
Yeah, ultimately it's a good question, and it's something that I thought about a lot over the offseason. Last season in the preseason, we had set our goal for ourselves that we were going to win the conference. It was something that wasn't expected of us. We didn't receive any first place votes. We were ranked 5th in the preseason poll, but we really felt like we had the talent in the room to go out there and get that done last year. And I felt like it was important last year for us to have a long-term goal that we could look at and say, hey, this is what we're shooting for. I think this year's a little bit different. I think this year we know what we're capable of. We saw it last year. We know how much we returned from our team last year. I think we know what we're capable of. So this year we didn't necessarily set a ton of long-term goals like what we did last year. This year I really encouraged the guys to be focused on the short-term goals, focused on the next moment, focused on every practice, focused on just getting better and better every day, because we feel pretty strongly that with everything that we have in the locker room, we have what we need to take that next step and hopefully compete nationally. So I felt like it was really important for us to set short-term goals this year. So we have some statistical things that we're looking at, but really ultimately just trying to focus on getting better every day. And we feel like if we can do that, then chances are in our favor that we can get to where we want to go.
Okay, and then looking just at the team itself, they're like obviously, at least from what I see, I mean, obviously there's just a ton of talent, just across the board, but also we had the unique opportunity during the COVID year to give a lot of people minutes as freshmen. Now they're seniors, and then in addition to that, you have a few really talented players underneath them. So tell about kind of your dynamic in the team so far.
Yeah, we got a lot of pretty talented players, like you said. I think it's a deep team. I think it's probably the deepest team talent-wise that we've had since I've been at AU. Now, will it be the best team? That remains to be seen, but I do think you can pick a pretty strong argument that it is the deepest team. You hit the nail on the head. We're kind of led by a senior class with 3 guys in it now who their freshman year was the COVID year. And so they got to play a lot of minutes right off the bat as freshmen. And so now they're going into year 4, and they've really, very veteran college basketball players at this point that have played a lot of minutes. So we got Cam Smith, Jordan Gaddis, and Alex Hunt in that class. kind of leading the way for us as seniors. But as you mentioned, we got some talented guys beneath them as well. Obviously, in our junior class, Tate Avagno won the Conference Player of the Year last year. Came back, had a good offseason, so we're looking forward to him taking that next step this year. Gavin Dowling was originally in that senior class, and now he's back down in the junior class, and he had a real strong year for us last year. And then, we had two pretty talented freshmen last year, Bryson Huckabee, Elijah Mattingly, who kind of emerged as real college basketball players pretty early on last season. Now they're sophomores. I think both of those guys made pretty big leaps over the offseason. So we're looking forward to them doing some pretty special things as well. And yeah, even beyond those guys that I just mentioned, we still have a number of very, very talented players. So we really need to be focused on, the things that maybe don't come as naturally to us, right? Focused on the defense, focused on the rebounding. Because offensively, I feel pretty confident that we have the talent we need to be a pretty good offensive team. So working on utilizing everybody's strengths, working on having competitive practices, taking advantage of that depth that we have in our practices. And I've been pretty happy overall with where we're at right now.
Okay, and then obviously the freshmen, I haven't seen anything from them yet. Don't really know what to expect yet. Obviously, we'll have our Meet the Ravens that will be this coming Thursday. By the time this comes to air, it'll already have happened. I've seen it, but at this point, I haven't. Tell us about some of the freshmen that are coming in.
Yeah, I think we got a good, talented freshman group. There's 4 guys. We're happy with what they can provide from a skill level. I was upfront with all of them going into the process and telling them, like, hey, I think that you're talented. I think that you're very good. We do return a lot from our team this past season, so I think minutes are going to be pretty tough to come by. But I think those guys have been pushing pretty strong early on in October so far, and I feel confident that we have some guys in that group that are capable of being on a college court if we need them to be. So feeling pretty good about what those guys have provided us so far as well.
Okay, and then going into the team as a whole, when you stack Anderson up against some of the better teams in the conference and some of the better teams in the region, what would you say kind of your strong points are?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think offensively, like I just mentioned a second ago, we feel pretty confident about what we have offensively. I think we got a lot of guys that can stretch the floor from three-point range. We got even some guys this year that can go a little bit even beyond three-point range, which I think makes us pretty tough to guard. So we're feeling pretty confident about what we have on the offensive end of the court. Defensively, as you know, last year midseason we switched to playing majority zone defense, which is not something that we expected to have happen, but something that worked pretty well for us last year. And now we're looking to take the jump in year 2 of that. I think it was decent last year. I think it could be a lot better this year. So we've been working really hard on that throughout October to make sure that is as tough to score on as it can possibly be. So we're focused on that, and we're focused on the possession margin as well. Rebounding and turnovers was something that we were so-so at last year. I think we had an ability to be better at that. So I would say the 2 biggest things that we've been focused on so far is making that zone as tough to score on as it can possibly be, and then also really looking at the possession margin with rebounding and turnovers and making sure we're even at worst and hopefully better than even in the possession margin.
So, going into the non-conference season, for those who've seen the slate, it's a pretty tough schedule. You got the preseason polls came out, and we have one of our games against Wabash, who's currently ranked number 16 in the country. Trine is receiving votes, but even the teams that aren't in the polls are traditionally consistently talented, and in most of your games being on the road. Tell about your non-conference slate.
Yeah, that was not by accident. That was by design. I had pretty strong suspicions early on last season. We had some success, and I was thinking, okay, got most of the team coming back this year. I want to make it be a pretty challenging non-conference schedule. So I was in contact with most of the coaches in the region that have traditionally strong programs, and you hit the nail on the head. I think we got 7 games that are not going to be easy. We start off with 4 straight road games at DePauw, at Wabash, at North Central, and at Carthage. All 4 traditionally very strong programs that are competing nationally. And then moving on later in the season, we open at home with Berea, and we also have Trine and Olivet on the schedule. So yeah, none of those games is going to be particularly easy. That was by design. I wanted to challenge us and push us early in the season so we can kind of see where we stack up with some of the other better teams in the Midwest region.
And usually for those that stockpile their non-conference schedule, it's an opportunity to get kind of see a little bit of it, kind of leave ourselves a little bit vulnerable to see what we need to work on.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, I think if we have weaknesses, and I'm sure that we're not a perfect team, I'm sure that we do have some weaknesses, those will be exposed. We're playing teams that are plenty good enough to take advantage of those weaknesses, whatever they may be. And so yeah, we're going to have a pretty good idea early on of where we're at, what we're being, what our strengths are, but then also what we need to work on and improve as we head into conference season down the road.
As we open the season at DePauw, what are your expectations of them as your first opponent?
Yeah, Coach Lloyd, now in his second season, they had a very successful season last year. They made their conference tournament. They were competing up until the very end to win their conference championship. I think that they do lose a couple of their better players, but DePauw, you always know that they're going to be pretty strong. It's been years and years and years and years and years since DePauw has had a team that you wouldn't characterize that way. So we're expecting a tough battle. It's going to be on the road, home opener for them, first game of the season, so I'm sure that they're going to have a good atmosphere there. Be a great opportunity right from the get-go to kind of test ourselves and see where we're at.
And then finally, what does your team need to do this year to be successful?
Again, yeah, a good question. I think the goals that I had set up are very short-term goals. I think that if we are constantly focused on each practice, each game, and even more micro than that, right? Each little section of practice, each 4-minute game. We like to break games into 4-minute games. If we are focused on our statistical goals inside of those little segments, I think that we're going to get to where we need to be. So I really encourage the guys to have a short-term outlook, take every day for what it's worth, try to improve a little bit every day, and I feel like that's the right outlook for us this season.
All right, well, I think I've covered the questions I wanted to. Ravens fans, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow along with any more previews, any more content we may put out on YouTube. Of course, follow along with your men's basketball team throughout the season. They open the season Wednesday at DePauw. Coach Collins, thank you for joining us, and good luck this year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.